Hey there and welcome. If you are new, welcome back. If you are not, if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Brittany. I am a homeschool mom to 4 kids. In this video, I want to talk about what we did last year for my middle 2 kids, what we liked, what we didn't, and what we did instead. So if that is of interest to you, just stick around. I originally was thinking about doing each kid individually, but honestly, the way that we did school last year, there were so few components that it would be a 5-minute video. And I'm like, why not just combine the middle 2 kids and then I'll do a whole separate video for my high schooler. My youngest ended up doing some light preschool, very informal. She was ready for some things, not for others. I will go ahead and tell you a little bit because I did mention her in one of my previous videos that I was like doing some curriculum with her. I ended up not. I don't know why I do that. I think that she was ready for things and then she would not be, which is fine because she was 4. And so she is reading some CVC words and I feel very happy with where she's at. We are starting formal preschool this year, but we'll get into that in the next video on what she's going to be doing. But I don't really have very much to share about her other than we read a lot of picture books and we practiced a little bit of reading and we practiced some making our letters and numbers, and that's pretty much all we did all year. Played lots of games. This is specifically about my kids who wrapped up 1st and 3rd grade this year. So I'll start with the older one and come down. So my 3rd grader, when we started out, I had him doing, first for math, we were doing, no, this is the wrong book. I don't have one of his books. So just pretend that this says a 3 on it. I thought I grabbed one of his old light units because I haven't put them all away yet, but just pretend this has a 3 on it. This is, so he did CLE 3rd grade last year. So we did end up doing the entirety of the program. There was a brief stint about halfway through where it got a little bit challenging, and with my oldest, I was notorious for jumping ship on curriculum and switching over to something because I didn't think it was working. And I said I wasn't gonna do it with my younger kids, but I tried to. Thankfully, it was a very inexpensive purchase. We tried to switch to Math Mammoth, and I tried Math Mammoth, and within a few weeks, I realized how much better CLE was for my kids and for me, and how much I liked it better. And I did some research and talked to some people who use CLE, and they just said that 3rd grade, 4th grade are very challenging years. They make a lot of leaps. They're learning multiplication, they're learning division. It is an entirely different way of using your brain. And so 3rd grade is just a transition year, whereas 1st and 2nd grade are not easy with CLE, but they're easier than 3rd and 4th grade. So my math-minded kid was all of a sudden struggling, and it freaked me out. And so I tried that for a couple of weeks, realized this was a bad decision. So we ditched the Math Mammoth, went back to CLE. I'm so glad we did. And then he finished it out because after he hit that snag, he was fine, and we are moving on. And so we're still loving it. For language arts, language arts it's a funny story. So if you watched my last video, I would highly suggest before you watch this video, go back and watch that video, because I had a homeschool update where I talked a little bit about how we switched fully into a classical method, and it will make a lot more sense. So we were doing CLE language arts. It was okay-ish. It just was, there were so many snags. There was so little retention, and I was really fighting against myself because I have this heart for classical education, and I was doing all of the research. I started following Memoria Press. I started listening to a lot of their podcasts that they do, and the methodology behind it, it made so much sense. The reasoning behind it made so much sense, and I really felt led to switch us over to classical. And so then with him, it just made it was when we had so many problems, it was too hard. So I knew I couldn't buy Memoria Press in the middle of the year. It's too expensive. We had already bought all of the curriculum. So, but I didn't want to keep on with this curriculum because it was just, he wasn't learning anything. And so what I did was we switched to first language lessons, level 3. And he went all the way through this. This would be an excellent, I love the Well-Trained Mind. And it would be an excellent program for somebody who wants something that is a little bit more gentle. Memoria Press is very rigorous. This is a little bit, it's classical, but it's a little bit more gentle classical. And so it worked very well. He learned way more on this than he was learning through this. But for my heart for education, there wasn't enough for me to stick with it. I wanted more. I wanted more memory work. They have a lot of poetry memorization, which is beautiful, and I loved that. But I wanted more memory work in it. And so, which will make a lot of sense whenever I talk about the curriculum picks for next year. I do still recommend this for somebody who is wanting something that is a more gentle approach. Maybe they're more Charlotte Mason than classical, and they, or even, I know a lot of people who are classical in their style of education and absolutely love first language lessons. It just wasn't the kind that I wanted to go with, if that makes sense. For him, I talked a little bit about spelling and reading. Spelling, I never was able to figure out something that worked. We were doing the Evan Moore book. That wasn't working. We tried Phonetic Zoo. He was not ready for that. I still have Phonetic Zoo. I'm still going to possibly pull that out in a couple of years to kind of go with what we're currently doing, which again, I'll talk about in our next, our curriculum picks for next year. Spoiler alert, we're already doing some of them because they finished all of their last year curriculum and we needed to move on. But anyway, I ended up moving into just doing dictation, a lot of dictation, a lot of copy work. That helped a lot. His spelling did improve greatly just from doing those things. But I knew going into 4th grade, I wanted a really good spelling program, and that I just wanted to pick something and stick with it. I'm at this season in our homeschool journey where I'm tired of flip-flopping. I just want to pick something and stick with it. And so I've done all the research and I have picked something that I do feel like we will stick with, but we didn't start it until 4th grade. And so I'm not going to talk about it here. But for him, through his 3rd grade year, we just did a lot of spelling and dictation. And I do believe that that helps a lot. So, and his curriculum that he is moving into does a lot of spelling and dictation as well. His reading, I said one of my goals for him this school year was to get him to that point where he was, enjoying reading more. And I do feel like we are there. We have not used a formal reading program beyond learning to read. I used Christian Light Education a combination of Christian Light Education and the reading lesson and phonics pathways kind of blended together to teach him to read. And because he was very challenging to get to read and no one program was really working. And so beyond that, we have just been reading a lot of books And he is at that point that I do feel like he is enjoying reading a little bit more. He's my math kid, and so yeah. So with my first grader, we started out the year CLE math. We never changed. She did the whole thing. It's not a surprise. I like CLE math. And it's just such a good program, and we loved it. So I have nothing extra to add on that besides yay CLE math. I don't think I'll ever use something else. I mean, I just can't see myself ever using something else. So for language arts, I started out this year saying that she was going to do the good and the beautiful. So we did a decent chunk of the good and the beautiful. I didn't love it. All the problems I had with it before, I still had with it. She liked how pretty it was, but it didn't seem worth it to continue on with the program just because she got to paint. That was the only thing that was like keeping me with it, is she loved the painting and the drawing and all that stuff. I'm like, I can get her, you know, they make YouTube channels that teach you how to do watercolor. We can get some watercolors and paint with watercolors. But that can't be the reason why I stick with the curriculum. And I couldn't get myself to finish it. And I had already purchased the year before Language Arts 1 through CLE. And so I just put her back in that to get her done, because there's a lot. What I love about CLE Language Arts 1, their Learning to Read program, and their Language Arts 1 is there's so much phonics in this. And so my whole thing was I wanted her to have all of like that really strong phonics foundation before we moved into the classical curriculum that we will be using next year, or that we're going to be using for her second grade year. And so I wanted her to have that good phonics foundation. And so since I already had this purchased, we went ahead and used it. She is my reader. She loves language arts, and she's okay. Like math is math for her. She doesn't love it, doesn't hate it, but she is language arts. She could use anything and be fine. So I put her in it and she did fine. It wasn't my favorite, but I do like how everything is included in it. So it had all of her penmanship. It had spelling in it. I didn't need to use a different spelling curriculum because it had the spelling in it, and spelling comes naturally to her. And so that was what we ended up switching her over to, and it worked okay. We did explode the code off and on, just a little bit here and there. She doesn't really need it. We are still doing it, but it's just kind of an extra thing. We did not end up finishing out the good and the beautiful handwriting because this one had penmanship, and I think this is a stronger penmanship program. And so we did end up shelving that and not using it because that worked a lot better. So I'm hoping that this is my last year of switching away from stuff, because we have actively been using the curriculum that we were switching away from with this batch for the past month or two, and it feels right. And so I feel very confident going forward that this is the curriculum. Like, this is what we were supposed to be doing all along, and I finally did what we were supposed to be doing. So with that, I hear children coming out to see where I am. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you have any questions about the curriculum I talked about, or about anything that I've mentioned before, please feel free to leave it in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye.